where's the updates? So what you guys are watching is SEMA 2024. This is post-SEMA. We've been just slamming on the car. I know there's been like a neglect of update. I think the last update we had was actually Sandsport show, and there was just a really gnarly patch of events or shows to go to. There was Sandsports, there was Off-Road Expo, which was the following week. I don't even know why they do that. I feel like that should be spread out. It's been getting closer and closer every year. And then there was SEMA. We had some stuff we wanted to get done for SEMA, and I can kind of go through that stuff with you guys. I know a lot of what you watched right now and what you're watching is just B-roll from the show, and that really shows you the stuff we don't have on the car. The whole front is stripped down now. The front suspension is off there. That was a huge thing. We can talk about that, but primarily I'm back here to talk about the exhaust. Tycon Industries is a partner of ours now. They have worked with us on this whole system. We opted to run titanium. This is 4-inch by 1.2 mil titanium. Just everything from the turbo exit and then all the headers that you see in here. Colin built those. They're 5-to-1 stainless 321. Trying to figure out. I don't think we even had this stuff on the last update. I think what it was for Sandsports was just talking about where this stuff was going to go. And where the routing was and like what the tin work was going to favor with the exhaust. And so now we're here. We really kind of, I think I talked about this exact same thing. It was to run outside of here. This was built for the exhaust. It was going to do an X. It was going to pop through on the sides of the license plate. I'm negotiating getting this light off so we can open this hatch. Also, thank you, Alan. With the Jeep, with the low center Jeep, Alan always is looking out for us, and I know I've said stuff about the light cables and sourcing them, and Alan actually did us the solid, and now we have 3 working Sabre lights, which is the most diabolical thing ever. We're just doing this unorthodox because I wanted, so Cody is our new media guy. Joey is not gone, but Cody is going to be fully in-house with us, and he's going to be, I think, rebirthing the Fab Diaries in a way where we're going to be comprehensively covering everything in the shop real time. I don't mean real time, but I mean like live coverage instead of just doing updates where it's going to be, you know, this is what we've done, this is where we're at, this is what we're going to do. That's kind of how we present this stuff on Mondays, right? We're going to have a whole nother day of the week where we're going to be dropping like working, process, everything hands-on. But anyways, this was our plan. That dust is real. We talked about the exhaust exiting through here. This has all been scanned now. Now that it's set where it needs to be, there's going to be a plate here that'll be 3D printed Inconel. I'm looking to do Inconel or aluminum. The plate will have bezel openings for this. It'll have a 3-dimensional like license plate portion, and then it'll also have a lip that comes up, and the lip will be about 1/2 inch off like the Range Rover, the black graphic here. Just for flames and heat, we'll have like this protective thing. It'll also house the backup camera, and it'll house like the, you know, the button to open this thing and the lights for the license plate. So that's been scanned, but really this was the goal. You know, we'll have a valence that comes through here. Even though this is a cool detail like this, it's just, it needs to close out and have a complete body. Something else was the finish on this thing. I can grab this stuff too. The finish on this was all new to us and I guess kind of experimental. I ran through doing heat treating. You know, like when I see titanium exhaust on a supercar, something that's like blue or whatever, and I'm like, that looks sick, but I don't know how to do that, what that is. So Colin and I both kind of went through YouTube University and looked into the heat treating. The idea I had here, you know, we have like a matte finish on this thing. And the idea I had here, I hope the lighting is like doing what it needs to, is to have the heat treating be like more of like fades in and out where it makes sense, where you get like a nice design cue out of it, where it comes out of the turbo here. You can see it changes. It feels dark on this thing. Comes out of the turbos, and then it goes to the X pipe, and it kind of has that heat element. The wastegate plumbing, well, hardline, same kind of vibe, and then it comes out on the trim here. This is also 2.5. I bumped up, so we went from 1.5 to 2.5, like double transitions here. And that whole program, like adding this extra little blister as well, just gives us a really good footprint when you put this stuff on. So this area is something to look at too. This has all been scanned, so this will be like a complete 3D printed piece, all Inconel. There we go. Where this, you know, we'll have like a nice, like a subtle blister coming up on this thing too, to kind of highlight the design of this. But really, this is going to have to be a different material just because it will fail from heat. Same with all the headers. I put heat treat into these too. So we like to get the heat marks off the welding, because when they go through heat cycles, then it just turns into this like dark stripe everywhere where there's a weld on the header, and it makes it look just like an aged zebra looking thing. And so if you can get all that out, weld all the primaries, and then brush all that off, then there's this one consistent hue over everything. So all of the systems done in here. Precision turbos, twin 68s, just like we talked about. The wastegates are in. All the titanium's in. There's an area here that's for mock-up, which is just this hose clamp. Let me grab the light. Which is just this hose clamp area, and that'll go away. You can see it's just temporary. That'll go away once the cross member is back here, and there's actually something to properly hold this thing in its place. Here's the deal. You guys are watching that. That's at SEMA. This thing comes back. We are actually taking it to PRI, which is in Indianapolis. It's leaving to PRI in about 5 days. In between these windows of shows and events, I always try to get a batch of work done. So for this bout of work that we're doing right now, I had all the front tin work. You guys saw that. When it's back together, maybe we can shoot it like more complete, just so you can see, and I can go through and talk about the construction of all the inner fenders. But right now it's blown apart. All of the inner chassis tin work is getting done right now. I did as much as I could with this before I ran into areas of packaging where I don't have stuff. Fuel fill, AC dryers, things like that that really have to live up here. The mono wiper, all that stuff has to live kind of in the windshield cowl area. So taking the tin work and closing out like the portion, say from here rearward, I just left that. And this is like a nice easy transition to pop another panel in here that can be returned and like bead rolled, so it all still looks like modular like this. But I just left that open, so it gets all that done. All these pockets are beveled for the suspension, so everything takes a lot of time, because really I'm building one side where all of the lower arm and the upper arm are on, and then I have to cycle all the suspension through the templates, you know, bump it, droop it, everything, turn it, and then go back, make the tan work, make sure it comes off with all the suspension pieces on, you know, because you don't want to build this where you can't take it off unless all the suspension's off. So all of that is split up into different panels specifically so you can take this stuff off with the arm still on the car. So a lot of the time that goes into stuff like that is not so much actually building, cutting, welding, sanding. It's more or less the template work of just getting everything to cycle perfectly. Same thing, like making sure all these cuts and these bevels, even though those are cool shapes and they look like they flow, that's really just an extension of the function of the suspension. So now what we're going to do today is we're going to get it ready for PRI. It's going to go with Tycon Industries. For them, Performance Racing Industry, I think is what PRI stands for. But we'll pop this whole thing back together. I just wanted to get you guys a little bit up to speed. Something else to notice is the wiring and the lighting. Baja Designs contacted us maybe 5 months prior to SEMA. They said, hey, we want the Range Rover in our booth. I told them it is not going to be complete. It is going to be in some kind of raw form. I don't even know where we're going to be at with its construction. And they said, it doesn't matter. It's badass. Show it how you want. That's like the best thing for me, because I don't want to show these cars just powder coated and painted and dolled up. It is absolutely necessary for me to show these in raw form, under construction, where hands have crafted things, how things have been put in, where the layers are. If we bring this in its final phases, you will not see 80% of the work that's into this thing. And it'll still be beautiful and it'll still be awesome. But there's a huge loss in showing the process versus bringing cars in like a raw form. And we're going to do this every year with every show for the foreseeable future with our builds. It's just an important thing, and I think it taps into the human soul, and you can feel the construction of these cars when you see them raw. So that tangent goes back to Baja Designs saying, bring it how you want, show it how you want. And in my vision, I go, well, I think the most profound thing we can do to show the car, bring it, you know, like it is, DA'd panels, Clecos in it, whatever, and then have it lit, because it is with Baja Designs, so it's better to, like, we'll put the service lights where they need to be, and they don't need to be temporary. They'll be fully tabbed, but they'll be wired on a temporary harness, because really we're not going to use like an S-Pod for this thing. It's going to be all factory integration, and a lot of the harness we're not going to use. So Ian came from Triumph, and he put in this harness. We have 34 or 36 service lights. Do you remember?
34.
34 service lights, 52 lights total. We couldn't get the headlight. I wanted the detail, the Range Rover detail on the headlights, but they're on a CAN bus. So we lost that one, but we had everything else. Third brake light, tail lights, at least the running lights and the tail lights. I think we didn't get the mirrors, but same thing. Like, a lot of this thing is on CAN bus. It'll work when it's wired final. But for what we needed, we at least had all the service lights in, the forward-facing lights, the rear-facing lights, everything on a dimmer, everything in an S-Pod in the glove box. And really, it gave a great display, because it was exactly what I intended on. It demanded a presence like that, and it highlighted all the work. And really, it was great to see, too, because the goal with the service lights in general, like the long goal, is to turn one switch on in every single area of the car you can inspect at night. You don't need a headlamp. You don't need any kind of phone light or flashlight. You just literally turn the lights on, and you can see where every fitting goes into every cooler. You can see all the brake lines and the steering. Like, everything is inspectable to the point of inspectable. I think so. Where you can see it. So it's obviously like a beautiful aesthetic, but it's a functional aesthetic. And it's just, even if you're smashing, and say you're pedaling this thing super heavy and you just want to get out and make sure everything's okay, there's not even an issue, boom, you can check everything. So it was a good proof of concept. I think there's quite a bit to go over as far as what we're going to do next. Some of the stuff you see there, I'd like to have the car together to really go through and digest, like the lower arms, the uprights, the upper arms, all that stuff. We saw the upper arms at Sand Sports, but the lower arms and the uprights have been something that I've been brewing at night, drawing those, working with a surfacer, and then getting them machined. That would be a prominent thing for us to look at and go over, so we'll get to that. And I think there's quite a bit of other stuff. What we'll do is we'll just let this be our SEMA episode, and then we'll go back and we'll kind of circle around. I think once the car comes back from PRI, it'll be complete, and we can shoot it, make sure that we get that in before we start taking the thing apart again. As far as SEMA, I had a lot of people ask me, how was your SEMA? How's it going? How's it this? And I don't have a good answer, because really it was the first time for us bringing a car to SEMA. We had Vivian there last year, but it was really something where I didn't transport Vivian there, and I wasn't there for a long period of time. I didn't really get to see or interact with a lot of people. I came in there for one day, burned the whole place, and then drove home, which is actually fantastic and probably all you need. But since we were there for the long run, because we had to transport this thing to and from, Oh, it was a different experience. It gave me a baseline for the next SEMA, but it didn't give me anything to compare because I haven't done it before. So it was good. I talked to all the people I needed to talk to. One of the most profound things I think is how many of you guys follow our social and follow the channel that are badass builders. That's the one thing too many people came up to me that were owners and builders of vehicles at that show that I get that imposter syndrome because I'm like, dude, you guys are talking to me, but I'm like looking at your stuff like, holy fucking shit, this is incredible. And I had so much of that happening. And I just appreciate the support and, you know, just supporting our journey here and my personal journey with this thing and the growth, and it's been huge. So I think the most prominent thing is just being able to meet you guys, talk to you guys, and show the car like this. This is what we do. I don't ever want to just bring finished cars and show them like that. It's never going to be our thing. We'll do that too, but it's never just going to be an isolated event like that. So enjoy the SEMA episode. That's what it is. You know, I didn't get a chance to intro into this. That's why this is post. But I figured at least just enjoy seeing it there and talking to people and just it on display. So we'll get it back from PRI. We'll cover this thing more in depth. Thank you.